Hey there, Jennifer. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm Jennifer Bourque and I'm with Empire Home Loans, and I've been in real estate for coming up on 19 years and 10 years as a lender. And I have really found my niche in the lending side of the transaction, which has been my passion and still remains to be.
What we're going to talk about today is about VA loans in our area. Because of our high price points, we're hovering in that 1.5 plus range. I hear, oftentimes people avoiding VA loans for one reason or another, but you're going to talk about today a success story of how we got a high price point VA loan through, and then also some more information.
First off, I had a client that was referred to me that was having a bad experience. They were trying to get a jumbo loan. They were looking in Pasadena in around the 2.5 to 2.8 million price range. And they were not getting favorable results. Unfortunately, they were turned down by a couple of banks because their perceived debt to income ratios were not where they needed to be. And they needed to come up with like 25% for a down payment, which on that kind of a price point is a huge chunk of money. So they talked to their mother and they wound up getting referred over to me. And I just let the clients talk. I give everybody a safe space to just kind of let me know what their experience has been. And they started just telling me about their experiences talking with different lenders. And one thing they were talking about was, I don't understand how I can't qualify for a loan. We make a good amount of money. We're not trying to buy anything crazy. I served my country and nobody will give me a loan. And of course, right there, light bulb went off. I went, wait a minute. Are you a veteran? First off, thanked him for his service, of course, when he told me, yes, he is a veteran. And immediately we started talking. I was like, hold on, we got a solution for you. The misconception is that there are pretty strict limits on what you can use VA loans for. And the truth of the matter is that a few years ago, the loan limits were actually removed. There is no loan limit for VA loans. You can do 100% financing, 9, 10, $12 million if you wanted to. You have to find the lender that will allow it as a caveat. And there is a record of somebody doing a $9 million 100% financing loan. So it has happened. It is a real thing. So we sat down and talked about what it would look like. And we were able to get them into a loan. They qualified to do 100% financing, but they opted in this situation to do a down payment because they wanted to reduce the monthly mortgage payment. They came in, I got them qualified. They did do a 15% down payment. So they didn't even have to do 20%. 15% down payment. $2.4 million purchase price is what they wound up getting into contract for. We did a VA loan. The listing agents had never heard of doing a VA loan at this particular price point. So we sat down, had some conversations about it, educated the listing agent to let them know what the benefits were, got the contract accepted, closed it in 17 days with 15% down, saved them over $1,000 a month because the interest rates were so much lower than even a jumbo loan was. So there's lots of success stories. I love working in those kinds of price points for veterans because there's a lot of people that serve their country and they got out of the military and now are transitioning into different types of tech jobs that put them into these higher price points. And there really are options and they're fantastic loans. If I had my choice, every loan that I would do would be a VA loan because they're so amazing. And our veterans deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the benefits that they earned by serving their country. So that was my favorite story that I've had so far on a VA success.
That's a great story. So I guess give me the top line, like what are the benefits going for the VA loan route versus, I guess, conventional or jumbo or whatever's, out there? Why would you say to a veteran like, hey, you should take advantage of this?
The primary benefit is the down payment requirement. And the fact is there is no down payment requirement. As long as they have their entitlement, which is something that I check and I deal with, as long as their entitlement is fully in place, they can do 100% financing. So no down payment. They may have to cover closing costs, or there's different ways that we can actually structure it to help offset those costs as well. But also, in addition to that, the interest rates are lower. So you're going to save money on the down payment and you're going to save money on the monthly payment because the interest rates typically are on the lower side. A lot of times what will happen is we'll do a side-by-side comparison and show the veterans, okay, if you did a conventional loan and you did, say, we're in that price point in the $1.5 million range, you have to put 20% down. So what does that payment look like versus going with a VA loan where you do 100% financing? The payments are actually pretty comparable. There's not a big disparity typically in it, depending on what the interest rates are. You can still get them somewhat of a similar payment and save them the cash of having to come out of pocket. And if they do decide to come out of pocket and do the down payment, then it's just going to benefit them that much more.
That sounds good. Now, what are the negatives? Obviously, sometimes you hear about reasons people avoid VA loans. What are those?
Most of it is misconception. In the past, there had been some issues with appraisals because the appraisal does have to be ordered directly through the VA. So when that happens, we have to give them a time frame of 2 weeks or 10 business days in order to complete the appraisals. And sometimes they would not come in at value. And as a protection, we would always do the rebuttals. But if we did get a low appraisal, it would sometimes leave a bad taste in people's mouths because, it was a VA loan and it was a VA appraiser that caused us to not get the value of the house. So that's one misconception that we typically deal with. Another one is that you have to have a pest inspection done, and which is required, but that the seller has to pay for everything and that the seller has to pay for the closing costs of the veteran, which none of that is true, including the problems that we're having on the appraisals, because there's safety nets kind of built into these loans to make sure that all we're doing is trying to protect the veteran and make sure that we're not putting them into harm's way. So we have to make sure that we can meet those barriers, and that's really all that it is. So if we can show that there is justifiable reasons for the price that they're paying, then we can submit a rebuttal. And there's also a section of the VA code that allows us to do what's called a tidewater. If it looks like the property is not going to appraise, then the appraiser can actually reach out to myself as the lender and let us know that they're going to enact tidewater, which gives us 48 hours to provide additional comps and reasons as to why they listed the property where it was. So typically this information comes from the listing agent, and we put all of that documentation together, send it to the appraiser, and ask them to help us to get the value up based off of the documentation that we have. So, and that is the appraiser actively working on the best benefit of the transaction, trying to see if they can justify the value of the property that they're purchasing. If for some reason we still can't make the value work, then we can also go the route of a rebuttal. So it's not just a one-stop shop. We have the abilities to help these buyers be able to purchase the home without having to renegotiate prices or the veterans having to come in and pay the difference, which they can do. And the veterans can also pay for any repairs that need to be done. There's no limitation on that. So if you get a pest report and there is an active infestation, or if we have health and safety issues that come up on an appraisal report, like there's dry rot that's evident in the eaves of the property and near the roof, things like that, the veterans can actually pay for those repairs. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the sellers are going to have to come out of pocket any additional cash. It's all in how we negotiate. And if we have these proper conversations with the buyers up front, then they know what to expect and they can make those decisions as to whether or not they're willing to put forth that extra cash to make the deal work.
That's super helpful. I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for doing this and making this video with me. Real quick, where can people find you? How can they contact you if they want more information or if they want to take advantage of this?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Otherwise, you can look up my website at www.thegenbteam, and that's Gen with 2 N's.com. Or my phone number is 925-321-4198. I'm happy to talk with anybody all day about VA loans.
Great. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.